Welcome back to the Boat Shed. Something a little different today. In this video, we're going on a field trip. Stick around for a wide-ranging discussion about this refit project as well as some other interesting topics with legendary yacht designer, the Maestro himself, Bob Perry. And stick around to the end where Bob shows off a talent that I bet not a lot of you knew about. This channel is all about restoring an old sailboat. This one, in fact. It's a 1989 Liberty 458. And as I've stated before, I am not a professional boat builder or a yacht designer. And this refit project is going to be a huge undertaking. So it's important for me to get expert opinions wherever I can to avoid as many mistakes as possible. And one of the people helping me is Bob. Now, I am a big fan of Bob's work, and I actually almost found myself with a Norseman 447 before this Liberty came along. And I've seen Bob posting on Sailing Anarchy and his Facebook fan page, but how do you ask a designer of a boat that's not his to help you on this project? I wasn't sure how I'd be greeted that day when I called him, but you know, with Bob, they're all just boats really, and he just loves sailboats and helping people find the right ones. So let's go down, say hi to him, and talk about this project. Walking into Bob's office is an experience in itself. Maybe office isn't the correct word. As you survey the many rolled up sets of boat plans, the walls showcasing one successful boat model after another, and the desks and workbenches with a lifetime of experience laid bare, it is obvious that this is so much more than just an office. It's a studio for creative thought and expression. This is where, with a steady accompaniment of classical music playing in the background, the Maestro himself, the icon, Bob Perry, has designed many of his wondrous creations. I marvel at the pipes on display and the models on the wall. Bob apologizes for the clutter. I laugh because it reminds me of my own workspace and desk at home. I tell him that it's the hallmark of a creative mind and that we always know exactly where everything is. Then we settle down for a nice chat about boats and whatever else comes up. We are here with the Maestro himself, Bob Perry, in his office here in Washington State. Bob has this amazing service that I'm taking advantage of where he will consult you on your boat project. And he offers his input from all of your years of building all these boats in Taiwan and working with all these different people and all of your engineering perspectives and design perspectives. Very excited to be here with Bob today so we could talk about the project a little bit and just share some fun stories. Full disclosure, the Antidote, the Liberty 458, is not a Bob Perry design. So when you see all these crazy things coming out of the boat, it's not anything that you did, but you have a relationship with the boat designer.
I've known that boat from its original genesis, where it was a Peterson 44.
Right.
So it's gone through several iterations.
Yes, and they made a lot of the Peterson 44. There's hundreds of those.
And then that became the Peterson 46.
46.
The tooling for this boat ended up being bought by a guy who was partners with another guy in one of my projects. It was a Passport 40.
Oh, okay.
With Peter and Wendell.
Right, yeah.
And so I met Peter. He ended up running the Liberty program. My first contact with Passport came in the mail. On the letterhead, set across the top, yacht builders, frozen foods, and eel farms.
That was the Passport? I know. I remember reading that story in your book, but
they've denied it.
You wish you kept that piece of paper.
Yeah, because you can't make that up, right?
No, that's great.
And eel farms were really big in Taiwan.
Yeah, well, it's good to have a diversified business structure, though, too.
And at that point in time, Wendell and Peter were in business together in Passport.
Yeah.
Somehow that disintegrated and they both went their own way. They stayed friends.
So I always thought that the Passport 40 was like the first Passport boat. Is that not the case?
No, it wasn't. I think the first Passport might have been the Passport 42, which is a Stan Huntingford design.
Okay. Oh, Stan Huntingford, he designed the second Liberty, the 49. So that would make sense. They have some work together.
That would make sense. He designed the Slocum 43, which is identical to the Passport 43.
Oh, okay.
Except the rudder on the Slocum is raked slightly aft, and on
Oh,
the
I see.
Passport's
Yeah.
vertical.
Yeah.
And when Wendell realized that was the only difference,
Oh boy.
he cut loose from Stan Huntingford and contacted me.
Okay.
Wendell didn't like that. When you buy design rights,
Yeah.
you're really buying a design rights to a design that is exclusively yours.
Right, right. Well, hey, while I'm thinking about it, let's give a little shout out to your book. Bob has this book, this amazing book here, Yacht Design According to Perry. So these are all your boats and what shaped them. And so this is a really fun read, Bob. It has a lot of...
That's a portion of my boats.
Right. You go through some of your big hallmarks, the Valiant, the Toshiba, some of the ones that people will really know you for. And then there's some really neat, which I imagine are one-offs, like the Loon is in here, right?
Mm-hmm.
Really neat custom designs too that you talk about. And so there's a neat mix in here of sort of practical knowledge, your thoughts on rigging and rudders and all those things. And then there's just some fun stories too. So I thought it was a really exciting read. If you're interested, we'll put a link in the comments section. Comes recommended. And also you can join Bob on his Facebook fan page at Robert Perry's Yacht Design Fan Club.
Yeah.
So you can join that Facebook group too and just share in the knowledge of all these old exciting boats. I'll start off with telling you something that you probably never get tired of hearing, and that's that you were right.
I know that.
So the last time that we were here, we were talking about the cord deck, and I was expressing concern that I thought there would be water in it. Now I've dug into the deck, and there was a lot of water in it, and it was plywood. And I was expecting balsa based on the sales brochure, and you thought it would be plywood, and you were right.
Yeah.
I've got 3/4 inch little plywood pucks. I can show you a picture. You've probably seen it 1,000 times.
It's like a giant mosaic.
Giant mosaic of like the scraps from the yard.
I think it's solid mahogany plywood, though.
It was mahogany plywood.
Yeah. The first time I went to Taiwan, I mean, it would have been 1975. That's the way everybody built decks.
Okay.
That was the way.
Really?
Yeah.
Really? Now, do you have an opinion on balsa versus that plywood as far as one is better or one is
Yeah, balsa's better because it's lighter.
lighter?
And because it's end grain balsa, it's stronger in compression.
Yeah.
And the peel strength is greater with balsa. It sticks to the
Really?
fiberglass
I guess
better.
because the glue can go through the cells of the wood probably.
Yeah, probably. I think you'd have to look really long before you got to the first Taiwan boat that had balsa in the deck.
It's interesting because the sales brochure has it right in it, balsa cord deck, and what I found was 3/4 inch mahogany plywood. It's all wet. It's in terrible shape. I'll show you.
Is the plywood intact?
No, the plies come up. It's just like
Coffee grounds?
not coffee grounds yet. It's like the individual plies are just separated,
okay.
and so the whole thing can shear. So you're not getting any
Okay,
any strength out
so
of it
how
anymore.
thick is the skin?
3/16 on top. This is one of the questions I want to ask you. Let's just get right into it.
Yeah.
I have a 3/16 top layer, and then the lower skin, I was surprised, is much thinner. I don't know how much thinner.
Typically it's the same, top and
I was
bottom.
expecting to find the same.
Yeah. And what are you going to put in for core?
So we had talked about a special foam that you had mentioned. I forgot the name.
Coracel.
Coracel. And I was gonna. Now, how is that for compressive properties though? Because I was thinking maybe Kusa for like underneath where I have the windlass and stuff like that.
Well, there you want to get rid of the core.
Just entirely.
Yeah, and you want to have a solid laminate.
Okay, that's actually probably even better.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'll plan to just lay up solid glass in those
Yeah.
areas, like or get G10 or
The
something.
G10, yeah,
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
That'd be easier.
That would be easier. As I was reading your book, another thing that struck me as interesting was thinking about where to put your garbage
I know.
in your design.
I know it's, you get the whole galley done and you know, oh, garbage.
Well, I read that and I was like, where am I going to put my garbage? And I don't really have a great solution for it, honestly. And I just thought that was so fascinating.
Let's say you've got a can of 7-Up or something. You finish, you lean in the companionway and just chuck it down into
Right.
the, or if you got your companionway ladders coming down,
Yeah.
you can put it under the
those
ladder.
maybe,
So
yeah.
you just,
Yeah, there
Drop it
is
in.
storage under the steps on the way down. You know, we have the engine bay, and then as the steps get deeper, there's more and more storage space under them.
well, we can look
makes
at
sense.
it. You want to mock the galley up, right? And a really good way to do that is you get this photo mounting board.
Okay.
It's like foam core, because you can cut that with a knife.
Yeah.
And then glue the corners together with brown electrical tape.
Okay.
And it looks cool.
Yeah.
And you can draw on that. So you can draw drawers, and you can get the galley totally
Kinda
mocked up.
Try to sort of test it out.
Because it doesn't matter how good a draftsman you are, and it doesn't matter if you even do 3D modeling. Once you stand in the space, you're going to see stuff you want to change.
Yeah.
Any boat I do, I'd probably change it once I was in the build process.
Yeah.
I'd change something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a tight-ish galley, but I hear it works well.
Domestic standard for a counter is 36-inch high.
Yeah.
But on your boat, you can make it higher if you want.
Right.
But as that counter comes up, the volume above the counter is diminished.
Yes.
You have to decide
trade-off.
which one's worth more to you.
It's always a trade-off, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Everything is, especially on a boat.
But if you do it right, you shouldn't notice it's a trade-off.
Right.
It should be invisible.
The eye won't know what's right, but the eye knows what's wrong. But you might not know what's... You can see when they're not right, but you might... have a hard time with this
I
one.
know.
When something's off, though, you know it. And you're like, I don't know what's wrong in here, but something's not right.
Yeah,
And
well,
same thing.
I usually know exactly what's wrong.
Yeah.
And after I identify that, that's all I will see.
Right.
For the next 10 years before I forgive myself for making that mistake.
Are you a perfectionist, Bob?
I'm my own worst critic.
I'm a recovering perfectionist.
I don't think I'm a perfectionist. Look around you. Does this look like perfection?
Well, I mean,
perfect clutter.
I wouldn't even say it's that cluttered, honestly. But I mean, my desk as an engineer was always very cluttered, and my workspaces tend to get very cluttered. But it's the work that I put out, though. I'm my own worst enemy, like you said, or a perfectionist.
Well, look at the Valiant 40. Look at that cabin trunk. When I saw that first cabin trunk, I thought, did I really draw it like that? And I wanted to get out the drawings. I did.
Yeah, it's a little boxy. Is that what you're referring to?
A little boxy.
It's a little boxy.
You know what?
Stout.
I learned so much by making that mistake. Mm-hmm. I really learned a little bit more about deck design.
Right. Between the transom and then the stout kind of boxy cabin, it's really hard to miss them from afar.
It is. And, years ago at the Annapolis Boat Show, we got all these Valiant owners together, and I had redrawn the deck. So it wasn't boxy. President of Valiant presented this stuff, and they overwhelmingly voted to keep it boxy.
Yeah, but it's a classic, obviously. That's a fantastic boat. In a recent post you put up about the Tayana, you said if you were starting over again with it, you would do swept back spreaders. Mm-hmm. I was just remembering that you were talking about the intermediates, but my understanding is that with the swept back spreader design, then you can forward and aft as well as
so you
side
get
to
rid
side.
of running backstays.
Can you really get rid of them all entirely?
It would depend on how much sweep you wanted. If you wanted like 30 degrees of spreader sweep, yes, you could. 30 degrees of spreader sweep, you're not going to be running dead downwind. So it would depend on your style of sailing. For cruising boats, I sort of max out at 22 degrees.
Okay.
And usually end up at 20.
I think you said 20 on this post.
Yeah, I'm comfortable with that. So and if it was 20, would I have running backs? Probably.
Probably still nice to have them.
Yeah, you don't have to use them.
Yeah.
But
in that situation where you're like, oh man, I really wish I had running backstays, it'd be nice to have them.
Well, if
deployed.
If it's blowing so hard that you drop your main, there's nothing stabilizing the mast. Because when the main's up, even reefed, it's still the luff of the main is adding to the stiffness of the mast. If it dropped the main entirely, it would be nice to have something up there.
Yeah.
To stabilize that point.
All right. Well, I think that would be very extreme for me to consider something like that.
That would be a bit extreme.
But I do have to redo these encapsulated chain plates.
We talked about external.
Yeah, that's probably going to be it. I talked with Jim. He was present when they were building a few of the Liberties, and he confirmed that they go quite deep and they're all welded together. There's a bar along the bottom that welds all three together. There's no way that they come out without me taking the entire interior of the boat apart.
At that age of the boat, there's always a chance of crevice corrosion. Almost always at the deck, the water is trapped down between the chain plate and the deck laminate. And because chain plates move around a little bit, that's very common.
It makes no sense for me to not address them while I have the boat up here on the driveway.
Yeah.
The deck and the chain plates are the two, no budging on those. They have to get addressed. So external it is, I guess, at the end of the day. With the center cockpit, The way that the rig was set up, there's not a lot of room under the boom for me at 6 foot. It just barely clears. If I recall...
Standing on the cockpit?
Yeah, at the wheel.
Because some people stand on the seat and say, I wanted to clear my head. Well,
no.
That might be a little extreme,
yeah,
right?
No, just 3 inches minimum just to have a comfortable headroom.
10.
So 10. Let's say I want 10 inches. I'd have to do some math, but is it practical to raise the boom without changing the
gooseneck?
The gooseneck. How much can you get away with before you're compromising the sailing characteristics?
That angle's called Stive.
I've never heard that before.
I've only ever heard it once.
There you go.
That was from a sailmaker.
So how much Stive can I add to this?
Doesn't matter.
No? I think it's almost exactly horizontal when it's sitting on the boom crutch.
Most of mine aren't. Most of mine have a little Stive.
A little Stive just built
Yeah.
in? I'll check that. I have some old pictures I'll review, but if I was to raise that up 10 degrees to get 9 or 10 inches at the helm.
More like 5. Because you don't want to move the gooseneck. That's a big job.
No, I really don't.
That's a heavily loaded part of the mast, right?
Yeah, and it's welded on. And if it was bolted, I might consider it.
You'd have to cut that off?
I mean, yeah, if you were telling me it has to be horizontal, John, then I would be wondering about cutting it off.
Doesn't have to be horizontal.
Okay. It's going to look like a racing cat.
No. If you look at more traditional boats, they have lots of
They had Stive back?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so I'm not going to worry about that. I mean, I do need to get new canvas all around anyway, so when we get the sail cut, we'll just make sure we figure out where we're going to have it sitting. But as a designer, you recommend 10 inches of headroom?
6 over the top of your head, sure.
If I lengthen the boom crutch a bit, well, first of all, do you think the boom crutch is worth keeping it, or I am going to put on a rigid vang?
They have nothing to do with the vang. That's just a convenient place to
park it.
Park it.
Yeah.
But
the rigid vang will hold it up.
Rigid vang will hold it up, although it's really designed to hold it down.
Right.
But it'll do both. The nice thing about boom gallows is it's a great handhold.
Yeah.
Getting in and out of the cockpit.
Right.
And you might be able to incorporate them into some kind of bimini.
The previous owner had a canvas structure that was partially rigged to it, which actually worked decently well. Okay, so maybe I would consider raise it up, get my 6 inches maybe when it's mounted, and then when it comes up, I'd have like 9.
Yeah.
That seems reasonable. Okay. What do you think about cutting a hole in the bow for a thruster?
I think you should look at Vetus thrusters.
Okay.
VETUS.
Are we sponsored here? Are we?
Denmark. Yes. Got our Vetus hats on.
Yeah. Why do you say that?
They make these water jet ones.
See, I've seen
So
these.
you can put the pump anywhere.
Yeah.
And then you just drill 2 little holes, and they're fairly small holes.
Yeah, right.
In the bow.
So you're talking like a 2.5 inch hole instead of a 8-inch tunnel.
It has to be an intake, and then you got the 2 discharges. I did a 70-footer where we did a jet-powered bow thruster. Every custom design client has his own little bailiwick item, that his baby.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, yeah.
And for this client, this jet bow thruster was his baby.
Okay.
And we were going to have it no matter what anybody else said. It was really, really good. It was extremely powerful. Check out the Vetus ones, because it'll be a much simpler installation.
Well, I'll look into that. I mean, the cost kind of drives a bit of these decisions, but then when you think about the time and money involved in putting a tunnel in, as opposed to just being able to install 3 through-hull fittings, there's some give and take there to be considered.
Yeah.
Okay. I just think it would be really helpful to have, since it's going to be a lot of shorthanded with just me and my wife, I could use a little bit more maneuverability, and I think that would be a good way to do it. I did mention to you that it's not very nice in reverse, and then I was reading in your book, and I think I understand maybe more about why now, and as you were mentioning that the aperture tends to act like a thruster in reverse.
If you, at the dock, don't try this at home, start your engine, put it in forward, and just low RPM. Then take a piece of line and dangle it over the stern and watch what happens to it. It'll go straight for that aperture.
Yes, I mean, obviously in forward, you have so much wash over the rudder that you don't really notice this apparent thrust as much, but in reverse...
Not so much, but some boats will always pull one way.
Yeah, and I guess, prop walk is normal, especially at low speeds, but this boat is just, until I put it in neutral, it's always pulling the stern to starboard.
Yeah, well...
No matter where I put or how much sternway I have or where I put the rudder, it's always...
What kind of propeller is it?
This has the Max 3-blade.
Have a max 3-blade?
Yeah.
Well, you've done just about everything you can do with a propeller to get rid of that prop walk. That's what I would advise.
I'm going to look into the Vetus water jet, like you mentioned. That's a good idea. With Antidote, we have the windlass, like I mentioned, coming through the deck. There's that bulkhead just aft of the staysail location, but that whole, you kind of poke through this cut open bulkhead, and you're looking into a lot of storage, and then there's another half bulkhead where the chain will drop. Right now I have like 250 feet of 3/8 chain for the boat. As of right now, you know, there's a tiny hole cut at the bottom, and all that water, all that salt water, or fresh if you're rinsing it and all that, and muck, goes down the bilge, finds its way eventually to the back behind the keel, and then you pump it out. And I was wondering about trying to figure out a way to keep that water out of the boat.
You can seal up that bulkhead.
Yeah.
And then put a false floor in there.
Okay.
With a sump and
great.
All the way up. And you slope that floor, put a little sump and
maybe a little grate over it to catch the kelp and whatever that might find its way in.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I was thinking. So I wanted to ask you about that. How much can you raise it practically before you start, you know, changing weight distribution and stuff? I mean, several inches shouldn't be too much.
As long as you have the volume for the chain, I wouldn't
worry too
bother
much
me
about
where
it.
it was.
So if I brought it up a foot,
sure.
I was trying to scare you. That didn't even phase you.
I mean, some people have done this and drilled holes.
Right, that was another thought I had, was to...
That always bothers me a bit.
Okay. Okay, here we go. Now I've got you.
I mean, you're plunging into these head seas. And
well, I've seen people do it with those little triangular tent. And it's like usually at the angle of the bow wake.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
No, I know exactly what you mean.
Okay, so you'd say don't drill the holes, but we could put a sump in and pump it overboard.
Yeah.
That makes sense to me. I'm almost thinking just like a shower sump setup.
Yeah, right.
Just put that into the bottom of the anchor locker, and then, but like under a very sturdy floor, so it's not carrying all that weight. I mean, it's like 300 pounds or something of chain, but
420 pounds.
420 pounds. Okay, but that sounds like a good plan. And then would you just pump that up?
You do a loop.
Yeah.
And put it through your bootstrap.
That certainly sounds like a much better plan. So we have a hole down low, but it's through a vented loop, so we're not going to get any water in if we're heeling or going through big waves.
Right.
As opposed to the overboard drain feature where you have water potentially coming in and out at all times. That sounds like a good plan. What are your thoughts on trying to add a hard dodger to a boat like this?
Well, you can do it.
Not easy. In one of my videos, I kind of go over the bigger aspects of the refit that I'm considering, and that's one of them. Is I sort of talk about the hard dodger, and I'm aware of the fact that for everything that I want to do that makes the dodger better, say like it's light, things like that, it just means that it drives the cost up, the complexity up, harder to build, more expensive to build.
Yeah.
Everything is give and take, but.
Are you going to live on board the boat?
I'd like to, for a couple of years, do some traveling with it, yeah.
Yeah, well, if you were going to be around here a lot and living on board, a good hard dodger would be nice for the winter time. Consult clients will buy a boat, then they want to do a hard dodger.
Yeah.
And I say, hey, don't. Go sail for this summer.
Oh, right, yeah.
And come back next year.
Right.
We'll talk about it.
Right.
Because you want to live with the boat, see exactly what you need.
Right. That's good.
And then we'll attack it. They're hard to retrofit on boats because a lot of boats, winches and stuff like that. Yeah. So you got to work around all that. Yeah. Whereas if you're starting from scratch, you put the dodger on, then you make everything else.
Make it all fit.
Yeah, fit. Right.
Yeah.
Aesthetically, it wouldn't be hard to make one work on your boat.
Yeah. I've seen there is the one that was built right before mine has a big bomb shelter on it now. And for practicality, it's great. I don't love the look of it necessarily.
Done right, it can make the boat look better.
This is where I think I need your eye.
Yeah.
But, yeah, okay. Well, I hope you've been enjoying today's video. If you found it helpful or just interesting to peek into Bob's design studio, then why not hit that like button? It really helps us understand that you're enjoying these videos, and maybe we'll consider making some more of these chats with Bob. Stick around because there's still some more interesting discussion coming up, and at the end of the video, Bob is going to give that guitar a run for its money. Something else I wanted to show you. This isn't your style at all. So I made this like 20 years ago.
Freehand.
Yeah, freehand.
Ooh, nice grain.
Yeah, it's a nice piece, isn't it?
Ooh, yeah, that's very nice grain. You know, it's beautiful. I showed you mine, didn't I?
Which one?
My big freehand one?
No, no.
I went to a party one night and I met this guy who was an ex-professional football player. And he said he was going to build a steel boat.
Oh, yeah.
And I'd never met the guy before. I said, well, where do you get the plans? I said, oh, I got them. They're out in my car. I said, why don't you bring them in? So he brought in the plans. I looked at the boat and I said, I will give you a set of plans for free to prevent you building that boat.
Really?
And I did.
What do I have to do to get a set of plans for free?
Anyway, he got me this pipe made.
Oh, cool. Look at that. Was that in there naturally?
I don't know.
That is something else. I think it is.
There was actually a pipe maker on Whidbey Island for years, and he was quite well known, and he made that pipe.
Now this one, do you mind if I pull the stem out or no?
Go ahead.
You don't smoke this one?
No, it's too big and cumbersome.
Because I think...
I smoke corn cobs.
Yeah, right. That's impressive work, though. Have you lost track of how many pipes you own? Yeah.
In fact, I went on a binge here about 3 or 4 years ago, getting rid of pipes. And I have a friend, a Canadian friend, he likes to repair pipes.
I mean, I've counted 60, just what I can see right in front of me.
I've probably given 60 away. And of course, I've probably lost as many as I have.
Yeah. Wow. Wow. What was it about the pipe for you? I mean, because it's kind of this hallmark.
When I was in the first band I was in, the bass player and I were both 18. The other guys had just turned 16. When you're that age, that's a big gap.
Mm-hmm. It is, yeah, absolutely.
They're young kids, just got their driver's licenses, right? Yeah. Big radio station in Seattle put on a Battle of the Bands contest in conjunction with the Dave Clark Fives movie called Catch Us If You Can. You're too young to know any of this. I told the guys in our band, we should enter the Battle of the Bands just to see how we stack up.
Right, yeah.
With these other bands, right? Well, we won.
Oh, nice.
There's 60 bands.
Wow.
60
Congratulations.
Signed up.
That's down here in Seattle?
Yeah.
This is like early 60s?
It would have been 1964. They immediately sent us out all over the Pacific Northwest. But, you're playing anywhere between Seattle and Denver and San Diego, and you get bored. You got to drive 350 miles to get to the next gig, right?
Yeah.
So we bought guns.
Okay.
And so we get off in
right.
Eastern Washington.
Yeah, go off the side of the highway. And
try to shoot rabbits, right?
Yeah.
And then we got fishing gear. We fished. We bought model airplanes. We flew model airplanes. Tried cigars. And then somebody said, hey, let's try pipes.
Got around to pipes.
So we all bought pipes. I just kept smoking the pipe.
Yeah. So
I never smoked cigarettes. This is our band.
Oh, right. No kidding. Little Sally Walker, the Bandits.
This is our hit.
Right on.
I'm playing guitar.
Nice.
That's the keyboards player singing.
Yeah. Nice. Is that you on the guitar? Hey, shred man.
18 and not scared of anything.
There you go. That's great. I love that. I'll have to look that up again later.
Yeah.
Cool, man.
Are you still filming all this?
Still, yeah, it's all going. We're just rolling this. It's rolling, and we'll just see what we have when we're done. Thanks for joining us. If you've enjoyed watching this long chat about boats and
other stuff
too, then Bob is available on his website to help with consulting needs, and I know you do also help people find the right boat for them if they're looking for a cruising boat. Or
I do a lot of that.
Other types of boats too, I'm sure. And and I've also heard that you're not stuck on recommending your own boats. If you feel like there's a better boat for that particular person,
they're all just boats to me.
Boats to you. All right, well, great. Well, here he is, Bob Perry, the Maestro himself, and thank you again for your time, Bob. Do appreciate it.
My pleasure.
All right.
Thanks, John.
Yeah. Cool. Well, if you're still watching this video, it means you're a pretty big fan of Bob Perry's work, just like I am. Now, I'd like to thank Bob for doing this video with us. It's been really interesting, and I had a great time. And if you've also found this video interesting, I would love it if you would leave a like down below. We're considering making more of these kinds of chats about boats and all of his different design philosophies and just some fun stories too. So if that's interesting to you, a like would really help us know that that's a video you'd like to see. And if you have a question that you'd like to see on a future video, leave that in the comment section down below, where we'll maybe get to some of those. Thanks to Bob. Go ahead and check out his website where you can get more information on his consulting and also helping to find the boat that might be right for you. Also, I can really highly recommend his book. It's a great read. We'll put a link to all that stuff down below. This is my project here, and if you're interested to know more about that, I would love it if you check out this video. It'll sort of give you an idea of the refit that I'm doing and what all the different things that Bob will be helping us with. And if you'd like to subscribe for more of those, well, there's a button you can do that right over there. Again, we're really happy that you came by today. See you next time.